Hi, I'm David Noble. Welcome to the channel. Now, as I'm English, it was only a matter of time before I started talking about VAR. Now, to most English people, this means goal line technology, and from what I've seen on Twitter when people have discussed it, it's the bane of people's existence. But I'm not really into football, and whilst I'm only 108 miles as the crow flies away from Wembley, I'm into motorsport, and I'm only 150 miles as the crow flies from Zandvoort. So let's go travelling. Yes, it's the return of my Junior Formula Team series, and it's kind of been a while, so why now? Well, Dutch motorsport has been doing rather well for itself at the moment. In the world of sports cars, you've got Racing Team Netherlands, whose Bumblebee of a machine has been doing good work in LMP2. You also have Robin Freins, LMP2 champion from last year and Formula E driver. Speaking of Formula E, you've Nick de Vries, who's become the first Dutch world champion in motorsport. And if you look across the pond to the US, one of the hottest drivers over there at the moment is Rinus VeeKay. There's also some other guy in Formula One who's been doing all right for himself at the moment. And this is before you get to single seaters, where, in F2 and F3 in recent years, MP Motorsport have been a pretty front-running outfit. So, looking at all that, you could definitely say, yes, the future is bright. The future is Dutch orange. But it wasn't always the case. Now, a few years ago, if you'd asked someone to name something Dutch in motorsport, the answers would probably be Zandvoort, Arie Luyendyk, Jos Verstappen, maybe. If you knew your junior formulas, you might say Van Amersfoort Racing. Now, I, incorrectly as it turns out, have tended to think of Van Amersfoort as being the Dutch Carlin. But if you look at the years the teams were formed, Van Amersfoort were here first. Originally set up by boss Fritz van Amersfoort in 1975, it'd be 14 years before they had their first title success with Marcel Albers in Formula Ford 1600 Netherlands in 1989. But further championships in 1992 with Jos Verstappen in the Formula Opel Lotus Benelux Championship, and runner-up in 1994 with Tom Coronel in the Formula Opel Euro Series carried them up to German F3. Now, this is kind of where the story really takes off. Bas Linders took the title for them in 1998, but 2001, 2002, they were kind of struggling a bit, so taking some time away from F3, they went back racing in Formula Renault Netherlands, taking that title in 2005 with Renger van der Zande. Now, off the back of this, they returned to what was named German ATS F3, taking that title 3 times between 2007 and 2011. Yep, unification of several European series after that resulted in the mighty European Formula 3 Championship, and while it may have been a bit of a prima dominance game, VAR were very much involved as well. The high points being 2014 to 2016, during which time they fielded Max Verstappen in 2014, Charles Leclerc and Arjen Meiney in 2015, and Callum Ilott, Anton Hubert, Harrison Newey and Pedro Piquet in 2016. So, why is MP Motorsport considered the bigger team? Well, the problem came at the end of the Euro F3 Championship. The FIA chose 10 teams to be in the new FIA Championship for 2019, and somewhat insultingly, Van Amersfoort weren't chosen. I spent a few days trying to look into the reason why VAR never made it into the initial cut for joining the FIA F3 series, and looking at reports, Fritz van Amersfoort initially been quite keen on the idea because he didn't consider there was enough space in European racing for 2 series at that level. But the problem was it was very dependent on what kind of cars and stuff they used and still being included on the DTM Sport series, because they're just heavily invested in new cars for the F317 chassis and the upgrades for that. So basically buying new equipment, the money wasn't really there. So they just didn't have the stuff and finances there, or whatever. They didn't like the structure basically that FIA were talking about going to. So I don't think VAR were ready or in a position to actually move over at that point or to reinvest again. But they weren't the only ones. Motorpark, who were also huge in F3, didn't either. So it was just unfortunate and bad timing for them, from what I can work out. Though this left them to focus on other championships like ADAC and Italian F4. So while they'd still been doing F3, their record in F4 consisted of a title win for Joey Mawson in 2016. But with reinvestment, new facilities, and no F3 to really be worrying about, unless you count Euro Formula Open, they became one of the dominant teams in F4. In 2019, Dennis Alger was runner-up in ADAC F4 and won Italian F4. In 2020, the two Red Bull-backed drivers racing for Van Amersfoort, Johnny Edgar and Jack Crawford, finished first and second in ADAC. And in 2021, Oliver Behrman became the first driver to do the double, taking both championships. And from 2022, they'll be rejoining the FIA F3 World Championship, and even stepping up to F2. Now, I always have it in my head about junior teams from same nations having a friendly rivalry. I've peddled it before about Carlin and Hitech, so naturally I'm going to do the same with Van Amersfoort and MP Motorsport. Both teams have the capacity to take drivers all the way from F4 to F2. While MP is currently more experienced in F3 and F2 with links to various academies, most notably Alpine, Fritz is quite clear about expectations. In an interview on the F3 website, he stated, "The long-term objective is to win in F3, but there is lots to do first. Taking on two new championships requires an increase in team personnel and equipment. As I said earlier, Van Amersfoort have had an increase in resources and investment in recent years. A modern top-level racing team requires a factory with top-level resources. Van Amersfoort's factory is based in Zeewolde, a 45-minute drive from Amsterdam's Schiphol Airport. Schiphol is a 45-minute drive from Amsterdam's Schiphol Airport, and it's no exception. The Van Amersfoort website currently lists the facilities on site as all the race bays required, an on-site parts and supply department and house shock dynamometer, multiple offices and meeting rooms for engineers and drivers, 6 fully equipped transporters, a full gym to help drivers stay in peak condition, and the obligatory in-house simulator, all of which is necessary for the 6 championships they'll be competing in next year. At this point, their racing record stands at 14 championship wins, 13 second-place finishes in various championships, and over 250 wins. Now, despite that, the thing that Fritz seems most pleased with is the talent that's come through the doors. The mission on their website is listed as being to help young racing drivers achieve success in motorsport, but also acquire and embrace strong values that will likely help them in their adult lives. At VAR, we strongly believe in the power of talent. This is why we work and keep on working together with universities and technical partners, and we've done this for over 40 years, which is why VAR is one of the most solid stepping stone race teams in Europe. The words on the wall in their factory that the employees see every day read passion, dedication, tradition. The fourth unwritten word would seem to be success, not just with the wins, but with the drivers that come through the team as well. In the F3 interview from 12 October 2021, Fritz also said, "When I turn on the TV and see the likes of Max and Charles, it gives me a kick, and that's something we want to keep on doing." So it looks like we'll be talking about VAR for a while yet. Anyway, thank you for watching and take care. As always, if you've got any comments, leave them below. Otherwise, as I'm obliged to say, if you enjoyed the video, why not give it a like and maybe a sub. Bye bye for now.